Hey everybody, welcome to Aniki, the podcast about anime with two brothers. I'm Ben.
And I'm a crushing sense of ennui.
Ennui. Not Memento Mori.
No, but that's pretty good. Oh, I did come up with the name for this episode, though. I mean, I guess I can tell you on the air or not.
Sad Lollies in the Snow, because that's what I came up with.
No, way better than that.
What
it's
is?
Humanity Has Declined Halftrack Edition.
Part 3.
Part 3, Halftrack Edition. I think that's way better.
Fair. So what have you done since last we spoke?
I've played a whole lot of Dragalia Lost.
Dragalia Lost. That's not one I've heard of.
You've not heard of that?
Or I have.
It's the new Nintendo mobile game. It's actually really good.
Oh, wait. I may have.
It's incredibly horny, but it's really good.
Okay, I have played this because my wife was playing it, and then I played it for a bit, and then we both quit for the same reason.
Why? Because it's very horny?
No, that's not the reason. The reason we both stopped playing it is because we play that type of game to pass time, right?
Yeah.
It needs to be mindless something, and almost every single action quest you do is bookended by like 3 different quote-unquote story things.
I know, right? Like, no, that's been killing me too, especially in the beginning. I've just taken to skipping them. Because I agree. Because I was like, I like this game, but I want to
play it.
I want to play the game.
Yeah.
Your little story is cute and all, but yeah, no, I've just been skipping it.
Yeah, we didn't see a skip button for like the first 3 chapters or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, no, there's absolutely them in the chapters. Yeah, no, I agree. Because like they just are like mission that's like pretty short, long ass story section. And you're like, come on, I want to be a dragon again.
Yeah.
So I just started skipping those. Also, once the event started up, it was just like, oh, that means I can just like go kill stuff in the events, doing it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've been doing.
Skip story
the
mode
events
all
are really
together.
good. Yeah, oh yeah, and just do the raids. Yeah, no, there's a new raid just launched and it's really solid. No, I really like it. It's got lots of high quality art for the type of game it is, but the art is kind of horny.
Well, I haven't deleted it, so it's still on my phone. I could start playing
It's pretty
it
good.
again.
If you skip the little story things, because they're like cute and all, but like I want those when I choose to do them, not between every mission, because the missions are like maybe 2 minutes. But to read and click through the little things. Also, I highly recommend turning on Japanese language, because you can do that.
Did not know
and
that.
It improves your life immensely.
I was playing Fate Grand Order like when it initially came out, and it had the same problem except amplified by like 1 billion. It was really bad. Like to do your little battle, which is a pretty clever battle card system. It was every single mission had this freaking long cutscene of VN stuff, not even voiced.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, this is at least voiced, and I turned it all on Japanese mode, and it's a lot more enjoyable. But no, it's really good now. The raids are really solid. There was a little Halloween event, and now there's a new wind raid event. No, it's fun.
Have you collected all the dragons?
No, I've only spent $10 on it because after a certain point, I was like, "You're worth $10," because the progression is fast enough without having to resort to all their little micro stuff, and there's no upper bound on stamina. So every time you level, and every time you use stamina increasing items, you just go above your maximum.
Yeah, Fate has that same thing.
Which is super nice.
Yeah. So as long as you're on like some kind of ridiculous progression track, you can have like 300 stamina at a time.
Oh yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Yeah. No, it's really solid. I quite enjoy it.
All last week, I marathoned Overlord. All 3 seasons.
Oh, for a minute there, I thought you were talking about the...
not the movie.
Not the new Castle Wolfenstein movie that's coming out?
No, not that one. Although when I told a couple friends I was watching Overlord, they're like, that's not out yet. That was when I learned there's a movie. That has nothing to do with that.
That movie is Castle Wolfenstein. They just couldn't... I guess they didn't get the license, I guess, because it's 100% Castle Wolfenstein.
Oh. Well, anyway, the anime is actually really good.
It lives up to the hype?
It lives up to the hype. So much so that I marathoned an anime series on my own time for the first time in a long time. And nice. I started reading the books too. So.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the books.
Yeah, I'll watch it eventually.
The books are, I mean, essentially what you get out of the anime, but there's a lot of like internal monologue stuff that you don't get just from watching it. So it is an isekai, but
Yeah, but it's like a good one.
It's a good one in that you never actually see the dude like out in the real life. So you only ever see him in the game, and then the game suddenly transitions to not game, but still game or something. It's ambiguous as to what actually happened. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be at least one isekai that's good, right?
I mean, there are several. El Hazard is one of my favorites. So is 12 Kingdoms.
El Hazard is really good. Well, I mean, the classic setup of is video game.
Oh.
The now classic setup of isekai of now video game.
I guess Dot Hack was fine.
Yeah, but you weren't like stuck in the video game. It just took place in a video game.
Well, one person was stuck in the video game.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's true.
The plot of that show never made sense to me. It's like...
Well, did you read all of the side manga and play all the games?
Of course not.
Well, then of course you were confused. What are you complaining about?
If you're stuck in the game, why don't you just take off your headset?
It's like complaining that you don't understand Kingdom Hearts by playing 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, my mistake.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault you didn't interact with the big transmedia brand that's going on around it.
Yeah, that's on me. I take full responsibility for that.
See, I told you.
I read a novel called Blindness that was pretty good.
Oh, yeah?
Everyone just suddenly goes blind. That's the plot.
There you go.
It's a dystopian novel. Because
I would imagine.
It goes...
Hold on. Here's the question.
Yeah?
Who's the king?
Who's the what?
Who's the king?
I don't know what you're referencing.
In this situation, who is king?
Unknown.
It's the one-eyed man. It's the one-eyed man, you pedant.
There is a one-eyed man, except his other eye is also blind. So he is not king. Sorry.
Well, he should be.
Everyone is blind.
In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. Come on, you're killing me.
Except the doctor's wife. The doctor's wife is not blind, but it's a very good book.
I'm actually dead. I've been reading the book by David Harsanyi about the history of the gun in America.
Oh.
Solid read.
That sounds interesting.
It is.
As long as you're not reading Guns, Germs, and Steel, which has problems.
Just a couple?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, because you were a history of weapons major, weren't you?
Kind of. Speaking of that, though.
Yeah, I know, right? Pretty good segue, eh?
No, I have a better segue.
Is it still good segue when you point out the segue? No, go ahead.
Right before recording this, there was a talk at Purdue given by a Hiroshima survivor.
Oh, I bet that was interesting. Did you go see it?
Of course. I mostly went because I'm like, I'm never probably going to see another Hiroshima survivor in real life. I
wouldn't think so. Yeah, no.
So that's why I went. I didn't learn a lot that I didn't know, but it was interesting hearing, her firsthand experience. She was actually one of the Hiroshima maidens too. So she was one of the 25 that came over to have reconstruction surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty rare.
And grim, no doubt.
Actually, she's a funny lady. She was telling a story because someone asked her.
I guess if you can't have humor, what have you got?
Someone asked her, so besides the burny parts, did you have any health problems like later in life? She's like, oh yeah, I had bowel cancer and then I had stomach cancer, but it was fine. We took out some of the bowel and then the stomach cancer was caught early enough that we just scooped it out essentially. But the doctor asked me, would you like radiation treatment? And I said, no, I've had enough radiation. Thank you.
I've had enough. Yeah, no, I could imagine that would be the way you would feel.
Yeah,
I've had quite enough.
She was a funny lady. I liked her a lot. But yeah, speaking of survivors.
Yes.
I told you I had a better segue.
Oh, you did. The only better segue would be one with tracks on it instead of the little wheels.
Oh, yeah. I guess
that'd be a better segue.
Actually, I bet you someone has done that. I'm gonna look it up.
I mean, there is a large internet.
Halftrack
mod.
Track mod. Do. Yep. Someone did it.
Nice. Send me pics. Pics or it didn't happen. Now that is a better segue.
Oh my. So this week, on a recommendation actually, we watched Girls' Last Tour.
Yeah.
Which came out last year, apparently.
It did, didn't it? The end of last year too, so it's like very recent for us.
I'll tell you the plot real quick. There was a war. Everyone's dead except these two lollies. And they're half-track.
Not really lollies.
Well,
they're
depicted as such.
No, they're depicted as moe blobs, not lollies.
Kind of the same thing these days.
Lollies. It's similar but different.
Okay, moes. Sad moes in the snow is how I've been telling people about it.
Definitely moes.
So
they're melancholic moes, which has a very good ring to it anyway.
Yes. It's got that nice alliteration.
It does.
Hey, did you know this? This is a fun fact. It was directed by Takaharu Ozaki, who I'd never heard of before. And
neither have I, but I bet you're about to tell me how I do know him.
No, you don't. But he did this thing, which is nice.
Okay.
It's a slice of life thing.
Yeah.
He's actually directing something this season.
Oh.
It's Goblin Slayer.
Well, how do you do?
I'm like,
la-dee-da.
That's quite a jump in genre there.
Quite a jump. I like it.
But okay. All right.
I mean, why not?
Sure. I mean, yeah, you got moe blobs here. You got Goblin Rape over there.
We had No Game, No Life work on Happy Lolies in Snow.
Yeah, that happened, didn't it?
Yeah, see?
Japan.
Well, I mean, look, they've got a finite number.
Anyway, what were your thoughts overall of Girls Last Tour?
I very much liked it. It reminded me a whole lot of Maiden Abyss, only with more melancholy and less grimdark.
I mean, it does have those elements in it of the melancholy and I guess the journey bit. I don't know. I felt it was actually more in the vein of like Mushishi or Aria. More towards Mushishi.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a little Mushishi-y. Say that a bunch. Yeah, a little Mushishi-y. What I liked about it is it has a clear narrative through line. Going into it, I figured it was going to be extremely episodic. But there's actually a lot of good through lines in it.
It still is extremely episodic. Let's not.
I would say it's episodic. There's no way you can claim that this is extremely episodic.
It's pretty episodic. It is one of those shows where you could start it in the middle and you might not get a couple references, but you wouldn't be all the worse for it. You wouldn't.
I wouldn't say that. You definitely won't watch it beginning to end. This is not Mushishi where you can like literally watch any episode and you.
Oh no, you're right. If you're gonna watch it, you should watch it beginning to end, but you don't necessarily have to.
There's a through line. Again, it's episodic. Not even pretty episodic. It's just episodic.
I thought overall, it's an okay show. You know me. I'm not like the biggest slice of life person in the world. But I've never seen a dystopian slice of life show. So that was a nice twist.
Of all of them, this is the best.
The one where everyone's dead. Yeah, it's fine.
Not everyone. They mean a couple people.
I will say that it didn't really hold my imagination quite as much as I was hoping.
Really? I thought it did a very good job world building, to be honest.
Oh, no. It has very nice world building. But it didn't really, like, grasp me and be like, I need to figure out what happened.
Oh, well, yeah. But, I mean, it doesn't want you to, right? Like, that's not the important part.
Oh, no.
The important thing of the show is not what happened. This is a hell of our own making. They're making the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
Them and their little Kettenkrad.
But all that stuff is just my personal taste. I think probably the only problem it may have objectively is a lot of questions arise from the show just naturally, and they're mostly not answered, which makes sense in the show because we see it through their eyes and they don't know what's going on.
If I had a big complaint, it would be the fact that their faces are so cartooned.
They do have the moe blob faces.
But I mean, I think the intent is they are done like that in the same way that Bone is done the way it is.
Yeah, it's to show a certain character type, because just because their faces are moe does not mean that the art style overall is hampered.
Oh,
because everything else is hyper detailed, but their faces aren't.
Yes. Yeah. And I think it's done to make them very cartoony and expressive and this, that, and the other thing, make them more relatable.
Yeah.
Especially in the world, and make them pop out more in the world.
So I'd give it like maybe a B. B-ish.
B. I would put it more of a B, maybe B+. It's very good.
I can see that. So I guess we should go into like spoilers.
Okay.
Most of the spoilers in the show don't actually happen till the end, but spoiler anyway.
Even then, like, there's not a whole lot of spoiler.
So we've got a whole slew of characters to go through.
Sorry, did you say slew or two?
Both.
Oh, I see.
There's two characters.
2.5. 2.5 characters.
Oh, are we counting the cat?
No, I was going to count the Kettenkrad.
I mean,
and
yes.
That is literally half a character. It's a Halftrack. I want that thing.
Hey,
I want one.
Actually, you can buy one. I actually found out.
How much are they?
Well, they only made 8,000 of them during the war. So.
Well, I'm sure that. I mean, yeah, but they're so old.
They are so old.
Surely they're inexpensive.
So if you want to own one, you can totally buy one as long as someone's willing to sell it. They currently run for $92,000.
That's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, for a little bike that holds two people.
For my cosplay, it's worth it. My cosplay is worth $90,000.
You would win the cosplay contest, I think.
I should hope.
Unless you can pull off the Moe Blob face. Can you do that too?
I might. With $90,000, I bet I could.
Well, you don't have 90,000. You spit it on the Halftrack.
Oh no! I done goofed.
So we've got two characters essentially. There are a couple other ones, but maybe we'll touch on those. We've got
literally a couple. There's two.
Cheeto, and we have Yuri.
She's the serious one. She's not.
She's the
hungry one.
That really is her entire.
What? She's hungry?
No, that's her entire character. Is she's hungry for everything and life. She's hungry for life.
She is hungry for life.
She knows how to get along with hopelessness.
Which one do you like more? Are you more of a Cheeto or more of a Yuri?
Oh, me personally?
Yeah.
Personally,
Which one do you like more?
Oh, I was gonna say I personally relate more with Cheeto, but Yuri is a lot more fun to watch because I have no idea what she's about to do.
I like Cheeto more.
I mean, she actually does things that would not get them killed every 2 seconds.
That is true.
So that's nice. She can read and write, and she knows not to throw books on fire that they were just talking about.
Try not to do that, please. Good job, Cheeto.
Yuri, on the other hand, is, well, she's hungry.
And she's the strong one and a good shot. She's the practical one. She's the body. Cheeto's the brains.
That's essentially it.
It's a good pair. It's a good pair, these two girls. They're good people. Unfortunately, they're the only ones left.
I guess that means that they are the best people in the world.
More or less.
I do wish Yuri would take more responsibility and drive the Halftrack every once in a while.
She never learned to drive.
Is that it?
Sure.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
If she knew how to drive, wouldn't she?
No.
I mean, that's probably
She'd
fair.
Sit in the back and take a nap.
And
I bet she does know how to drive it, and she just doesn't let on because then she'd have to.
That seems Yuri.
There are two other characters that they meet, but they don't stick around for very long. Both.
That is true. Each one lasts about an episode.
We have one, Kanazawa.
I like Kanazawa. He's a map maker.
He's a map maker. He loses all of his maps because that freaking elevator doesn't have a chain link fence around it.
It didn't, did it?
Why?
It really should have.
Really should have.
Said so.
That just set a flag, is what that did.
It did. I do like how this show really likes dramatic irony, and the only person who understands they're in a world that loves dramatic irony is Yuri.
Oh, I would have figured Cheeto noticed it.
Well, yeah, but Yuri's really the one that seems to know. It's like, well, if anything bad can go wrong, it probably will, but let's not worry about it too much.
Let's sing a song instead. It's fine. He was very attached to his maps.
I mean, they brought him meaning.
But it didn't really make sense for him to keep them. And I think he realized that because his whole journey was, I'm going to make maps of this level, and then I'm going to go up a level, and these maps will be meaningless at that point.
But then he'll make
more.
But then he'll make the maps of that level. They bring meaning and continuity. It's important. Especially when you're probably, where you're pretty sure you're the only person left.
And he thought he was. He hadn't spoken in like years or something.
Yeah, I know, right?
And the other character was Ishii, which I found more heartbreaking.
I know, right? She made a plane.
Yep, she's on a level where she just wants to make a plane just so she can go to the city across the water, however far away that is. She actually does build this plane. And that whole episode, I was thinking to myself, all right, she's going to build this plane and it's going to crash right after she launches it. I know that's going to happen. So I braced myself, right?
Yeah.
And it took off, and I was like, it's going to crash. And then the landing gear went up, and I'm like, oh, huh. Actually, she's going to do it. I wonder how far. And then it fell apart. And I was like, oh,
they get you. They really get you. I thought they were going to kill her.
I thought they were going to kill her.
That'd be a little dark for this show, but this is a little early, so it could go either way.
See, I was a little disappointed that they didn't. I thought that it would just sort of...
Slightly. But then I was like, that sets up different expectations for the show, so...
Well, I just thought that they would cut away and they'd be very sad.
Yeah.
Plus, they never showed her wearing the parachute, so it was kind of a cop-out.
Yeah, well.
On the other hand, she did die in a sense because they're never going to see her again because she went all the way back down to the bottom.
That might actually be worse in a lot of ways.
It's like, yep.
Knowing that she survived and knowing you can never reach her again.
Yeah, that is worse. I don't like that.
And she knows she'll never see them again. As she's slowly falling down and down.
Down to the bottom. I guess there is a fifth character, kind of. The cat. Nuko.
I love Nuko.
Nuko's
cute.
Cat, question mark.
The radio cat.
The radio cat. It can speak through radios and it eats bullets. That's its defining characteristic.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. It can also open doors. It's very good at opening doors.
It can.
And turning on robots of certain nature.
Yeah, probably shouldn't have done that one.
Well, did we mention that Yuri also burned the city down that one time?
Just sad. Just
that part over there.
Man, what a good scene, too. When she's laughing away and Cheeto's like, no, this is not a laugh time. This is a sad story, Yuri. She's like, oh, yeah, I guess so.
So, I think the real character, though, is the whole setting of the show.
I thought you were going to say the Kettenkrad.
Well, I think we've covered the Kettenkrad because it's clearly best boy of the show.
It is best boy. What a good boy. Good boy.
It surprisingly only breaks once.
It's surprising what gas mileage it gets.
I'm sure it's terrible in real life.
Oh, I'm sure. I tried to look it up.
I'm like,
it's like
all those steep inclines they go up. I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, I know, right?
No.
Well, it has the cop out of it's like a weird future Kettenkrad, so we'll not worry about it.
It runs on Mr. Fusion fuel or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Or something. Yeah, no joke.
Anyway, I think the setting overall is probably like...
Oh, absolutely.
The biggest character.
The setting is so good. It's so well realized for like... It pulls that thing that Shadows of the Colossus pulls, where it gives you just enough to really let you fill in a lot of the gaps of the world by implying a lot more depth than they probably ever writ into it, but in a good way. They knew where to like pull their punches.
Yeah, so the whole story takes place in like the indeterminate future.
Yeah.
There are dates, but it's on a camera that is of a unknown origin and no one knows how long it's actually been in existence.
Long time,
because if you go by its date, it's 3230 is when they get the camera. If the camera's believed.
I thought there might be a date on it, but it was hard to tell.
Now, the month and day in that camera, I think, are pretty accurate because that actually goes up. When they get the camera, it's like August, I think, I marked down.
Yeah.
And then towards like episode 10 and 11, it's like March of the next year.
Okay.
So
yeah, that would make sense. I feel like the show itself takes place over about 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, that's about right. Because they go through 2 winters. So
yeah. They start on winter and then they go through one. Then they end on one. Yeah. So it's like 1 to 2 years maybe.
Yeah, so we're not really sure what level they started on, but essentially they are in some sort of cityscape.
A giant multi-tiered cityscape.
That's just sprawling urban area, then big columns, then another sprawling urban area on top of that. And up and up and up and up and up. We don't know where they started. We don't know how tall it goes. I think they go up 4 levels during the show. Maybe
in the
5?
show, you can definitely tell they go up. I think confirmed, I would hazard 3 or 4. Yeah.
I feel like it's like 4-ish.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
But they spend some time traveling indoors, and they could have gone up a level then without realizing it.
That is true. Each level, as you go up, the niceness of the architecture increases. So it's clear that in this future that the bottom level is like the slums.
Oh, well, it's not even necessarily that, right? Because the small amount of world building you get is that the older layers are actually newer than the upper layers. Because as society broke down, newer refugees clumped around the pillars. Kanazawa tells you that.
Oh, I missed that part.
So as they go up, they are going into further into the past, but more technologically advanced, which is very fascinating. And that's why like the upper layers are in better condition too. Is not because they're younger. They're not. They're far older than what's lower.
But they've been abandoned essentially?
Well, they've been abandoned, but they had a lot more better building technology and a lot more automation up there. So they've kept running even while the lower levels have gotten worse and worse. Which is interesting to think about.
Well, the only thing I remember from that particular conversation is he said that all the levels are hundreds of years old. And no one knows their origin, which means this city to them has existed essentially forever. No one knows where it came from. No one knows how it got here. Some of it just runs and it does things for reasons, but no one knows what they are. And aside from the ocean, which is visible only briefly sometimes, it's essentially an infinite city. It just
as far as I can tell. It seems, especially after the last episode, that it seems likely that it is a version of Tokyo. But that's about all we know.
Yeah. Like it's
somewhere
in Japan.
Guess. That's even a guess.
Well, and I'll bet you that when Ishii saw that city across the water, that was just more of the same. Like
it probably
that's probably Tokyo Bay and it wraps around and she's just seeing more of it.
Yeah.
That's what I would assume if it is indeed Japan.
Yeah. I think that one's pretty positive because even a lot of the future language is like is a modified Japanese, and it is confirmed there's English in the thing because there's a book they find that they can't read and the title is in English. So I think it's pretty sure that it's Japan, especially considering the camera.
That's true.
Because one of the things that really stands out in the setting is the complete and utter lack of green. The city is completely dead.
Well, it's not just the lack of green. It's the lack of anything living.
Anything that's not human.
There are no dogs. There are no cats. There are no mice.
Nothing.
There's nothing. Except that fish.
Because usually with these post-apocalyptic things are like the nature reclaims. But this is very much a story of, it is a hell of our own making. Not only did we create this giant city, but then we had a big war that destroyed the giant city, and now there's nothing.
It's sterile.
Yeah.
Which is why they make such a big deal when they're out washing their clothes and they find a fish.
Find the one dead fish.
Yep. Which was delicious. I'm a little concerned that they ate the organs of the fish.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
What else?
It may not actually be a fish.
Yeah.
It's probably some weird fish.
I mean, they only know flavors due to the fact that their ration packets have flavors written on them. To the point when they got actual chocolate, they were like, there's no way this is real chocolate. This has to be a chocolate flavored thing.
I like how they said it's more like it's ration flavored chocolate than actual chocolate.
Yeah.
They don't know.
They don't know, these poor girls. How old would you say that these two are?
If we discount the moe blobs,
I put them at late teens, early 20s is where I would put them.
I wouldn't go that high. I would think that
I don't know, considering how tall they are when they do them more serious, when they put them in a more serious style, and at the very end they see the high school girls and they say they're about our age. They think.
Well, I would put you at like 16, 17, and Chi-chan at like
18,
15
19,
or 16.
Sure.
It's like mid-teens.
I would probably bump them up both about a year or two, but yeah, that's about where I'm at.
It's just hard to tell with those faces.
I know, right? Though when they draw them in a way in which they're like standing up straight and really trying to show them as more mature people, I think they're definitely, late teens.
That's a fair reading. I mean,
yeah,
no one can know.
Which is all the sadder considering they got their Kettenkrad and had to leave Grandpa when they were like
5,
6. Yeah, like 5, 6.
So they've been going through this for like 10 years ish.
Yeah, at least.
So speaking of Grandpa,
yeah,
I would like to pontificate a little bit on what happened to everybody else.
Well, I don't know. At which time? Because it seems like there's been there was like a grand world war that went poorly for everybody, and then a bunch of subsequent smaller wars after that. If we are to believe that it is 32 something, at the very end of the show, when we have the reveal of all the videos that are in their camera, it seems like the big first grand war happened not too past our current time. So maybe in the...
It's hard to tell because...
Maybe 21s.
I got the impression from those videos that the girls with the Robot Club girls...
Yeah.
And the fighting in Parliament, or the Diet, I assume, fighting in Diet and then declaring war on all of their neighbors, that was taking place around the same time. And I get the impression that the robots, that span of when they started making itty-bitty robots and got big world-destroying robots, probably wasn't very long.
I get the feeling that it was a little bit longer than that, because it definitely implied that the war came in waves.
It's extremely hard to tell. What I was getting at is like the more recent future, because at the beginning of the show, you have these little flashbacks from Cheeto, where she's leaving her grandpa, and there's like a contingent of people, and they're shooting something. You assume other people, but by the end of the show, it could be other people. It could be robots. It could be mushroom people. It could be...
I doubt that one.
Anything, really. But there is a contingent of people, but there aren't anywhere else. And that just strikes me as... That's one of those questions that comes up almost immediately, and it's never answered.
I think it's...
Because at the end, the mushroom people, we can get to those later, they say that we're pretty sure that you two are the last humans that exist, but we've not been to the upper levels yet. So...
Well, and also, I don't think that they ever have known about everything. The distances are so vast in the show, and it's so sparsely populated, that I think that is an unreliable time, because I don't think we are meant to believe that Ishii or Kanazawa are dead.
I mean, you're probably right.
Just that they've never come across them.
Because it could be that the species as a whole hasn't seen any other humans, or just that particular group that lives in the submarine.
That would be my guess.
It's ambiguous, but, they speak via radio waves, so it's entirely possible that all of them, if there are more on Earth, all speak together all the time, so who knows?
But it also seems like they are isolated to the higher levels.
The mushroom people?
Yeah.
I just assumed that they started at the bottom and worked their way up. Because
that's also possible.
Because that's what we see. So they finished on this level and they're going up one.
It's a little hard to tell, though, because it's a little hard to tell if they destroy all weaponry or just nuclear or what.
Well, they clearly don't, because they leave Cheeto's ammunition alone. So
yeah, no, that's true.
I have no idea.
So I think it's just nuclear. I mean, we might as well get this out now. What I think they are is I think that they are a thing that the last stage humans made as a way to clean up, in a very WALL-E-esque scenario, right? They're made to clean up radiation.
Well, there are a couple readings of it. I like that one. That's a good one. I hadn't thought of that one.
I think they're there to clean up anything else that's left.
When I first saw Nuko,
bioorganic,
I thought, it's clearly not a cat, or maybe it's a cat just drawn in the weird Moe style. But as we got to know it and noticed that it's the same as those statues, I thought, okay, well, maybe this is like, we've seen the advancement of these robots from the little square things to the giant things. Maybe this is another artificial life form of some sort, which would fit into yours. Mm-hmm. But then during one of those short video clips, we see things falling from the sky, big white things.
I think those are just missiles.
I mean, you assume they're missiles, but they could be these things. I don't know.
I don't know. They don't seem hostile at any rate.
No, I don't think they seem indifferent.
I don't know. I think that they are definitely a little strong. I think they have the most probability of being something that later humans made to try and clean things up a little bit.
I mean, you're probably not wrong. The thing they say at the end about, we basically take any unstable material and make it stable. And essentially through that process, the world is going to die. So just FYI. And then they take off. Like, that's a little cold.
A little grim.
But
I mean, if the power, since most of the power that seems left is long-term power, i.e. probably radiation, I mean, it just stands to reason.
It does. Although they did seem to have a lot of petrol laying around. So,
they do. So, who knows?
I'm weird about that.
Well, best not to worry about too much. There are some things that are just conceits of the setting.
Sure.
They wanted to give these little girls a Kettenkrad, and they had to find out some sort of thing. It's like, well, how are they going to get fuel for it? It's like, well,
mushroom people.
Don't worry about it. Especially considering the show shows them constantly worrying about food, but not fuel, is definitely like, look, the vehicle is a conceit of the setting because the designers thought it looked really cool.
But they do worry about it sometimes, so it still is realistic-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
it's not magic,
coming back to Grandpa and stuff, it just seems like there should be more than 2 other people that they run into. I mean, and maybe not even that they run into them, but given that there are guns everywhere, maybe they hear gunfights in the distance sometime.
Yeah, I think everything's just gotten too spread out, and I get the feeling whatever village they came from, probably one of the last 2 in the area that probably came to blows over resources, right?
I mean, it makes sense.
And all the adults probably almost murdered each other, so that's that.
Maybe they all just got along with this feeling of hopelessness.
I mean, that's possible. Sometimes you just gotta zetsubo and go on with
By the
life.
way, that's the best song in the whole show.
It's true.
I know there's that pretty background music, but the Zetsubo song is a fantastic song.
Zetsubo's choice. I don't know. The Mushroom People song's real good.
It's okay. It reminds me a lot of some of the Dot Hack music. Coming back to that.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair.
But I haven't heard a Zetsubo song before.
Themes though, those are really good.
The opening theme is, I wouldn't say it's not off-putting, but it's a nice. It's like an opposite.
It's not like the Made in the Abyss.
No, it's like the opposite
style song
theme from the show. It's like happy and upbeat, and then you go to the show and it's sad, and then you go to
that's melancholic,
and then you go to the ending and it's, I don't know how you describe that one.
Slightly hopeful. The beginning animation's really cute though. I like it a lot.
Where they're just marching in place.
Yeah, the opening animation's really.
It is cute. Normally here we would go over the plot. Do you want to go over the plot? You seem to notice that there was a through line.
I mean, there are, as in they reference older episodes, and there are. They slowly go up, and they do learn from the things that happen, but it's not enough to try and get into.
I will say that I did appreciate that throughout the show, through the eyes of these naive, innocent girls, they do try to tackle like some. Well, they don't really tackle the issues, but they're like bring up some of these like really deep issues.
Yeah,
that people really normally don't really even consider thinking about.
Yeah, no, and in that it's really good, and it really does bring up a lot of these ideas extremely well.
I've got a bunch of quotes in from the show.
The aquarium one was really good. The one where they come across the graveyard without knowing it's a graveyard for a while is really tight.
Yeah, I mean, you and Cheeto both have a lot of just weird pontifications or you-isms sometimes. Like,
yeah,
hey, what if we're already dead? Like, well, yeah. Or when you says, don't worry about writing things down. Memories just get in the way of living.
They kind of do, especially for her.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
That's really good. That is definitely a you way of life.
You shouldn't worry about it so much. It's fine. I did like both when they learn how to rhythm.
Oh, that's a cute one.
Which may have screwed them over because now they know how to walk with rhythm.
Yeah, which does attract the worm.
Yeah, so.
Though I will say, now that they have rhythm and almost music, they don't even really need anything else.
I mean, they don't really.
Not by the end, because then they get the music there at the end last episode.
They do. And now they can rhythm and music, and now they can form a band.
Yeah, there you go.
A two-girl band, because they lost their cat member. I did learn that rock stacking is a really fun game that you should wager all of your rations on.
It's Jenga.
Except you don't remove rocks, you just put heavier rocks on it, and you always wins.
The temple half of the photograph episode was really good. That episode 4 is really solid. Episode 4,
which one was that?
This one where they start taking the cameras and noticing the statues, and then they get into the temple.
Where they start talking about God?
Yeah, isn't that one good?
It's a very... I would say Japanese, but it's maybe a little more broad than that. Not to sound too generic, but it's a very Asian way of looking at deities.
It is. Yeah, it's very East Asia.
One thing I did not like about that episode was when it went pitch dark and you had moved like 10 feet away, Cheeto just decides, I'm not going to respond to any of her mournful cries in this pitch darkness.
It was a little cruel. A little cruel of her.
Well, I guess you sort of deserved it. I did notice...
She kind of did.
In that episode, a couple episodes before that, we find out that you cannot read at all.
That is true.
But by episode 4, she started picking up certain words, and she can sort of write a little bit. I mean, she's never as good as Cheeto throughout the entire show. But at least she's picking stuff up. It also tells you the immense scale of time that goes on in this show.
Yeah, it's pretty long. Each episode is very much an episode, right? Mm-hmm. There's lots that happens in between them. What else did I like a lot? Oh, where they find beer is really solid.
That was funny.
The train I liked a lot. That was very melancholic. Just this giant, still working train that they get on, and it's so big that they can drive inside of it to try and get
that thing's enormous.
I know, right? Probably to move the robots around, you think?
I would assume it's to move all the machinery around.
Yeah.
It's kind of odd that the one car, quote unquote, that they get on first has like the only bench in the whole place.
Yeah.
That was a little weird.
It's a very forlorn setting. You really feel it in that whole episode. All of episode 10 is just very, very forlorn.
There's one episode that just really drove me insane. Which one was it? And not for the reasons you're probably thinking.
No.
Okay, it's episode 7, Labyrinth, where Ishii has told them, hey, this is where you get all the potatoes. It's over there. And then she goes and falls down into the lower levels. So they go off to this factory, right? And they're walking along the pipes.
Yeah.
And then they fall into the pipes. Now, while they're walking on the pipes, they realize we are lost. And they realize we're in a bad situation. But then, luckily, they fall into the pipe. And it turns out that the pipe is actually a passageway with nice arrows pointing the direction they're supposed to go. Right?
Yeah.
That's fine. Great. Now this pipe tees into another pipe, which has other pipes coming into it, also with arrows pointing into the bigger pipe. At this point, they do not mark where they came from.
Well, I think that's the one that has the ladder, though, so I think they're in pretty good shape.
But they take numerous turns after that, and
it's best not to worry about it.
I'm like, guys, you got... Like, I was being anxious for them. Like,
I know, right?
Please.
Well, you want to talk about anxiety, man. I have a fear of heights, and in no way, like, I felt for Cheeto so often, because the way they depicted a fear of heights was exactly how Cheeto reacts to them, which is like, nope, 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 nope. Why is there not a fence here? Can I please be far away from this edge?
Why would you need a fence there, you asks? Seems fine.
So terrible.
What's the worst that can happen?
Oh, so many things. Oh, man. Like, this is very hard to watch if you have vertigo.
I didn't know you had a fear of heights.
Especially those early episodes. Oh, Lord.
I've learned something today about my brother.
Oh, yeah. No, I get not like terrible vertigo, but man, it's real. Going up some of those mountain passes when we went out to the peninsula. Oh, boy.
I mean, having a healthy respect for that could kill you is one thing, but...
Oh, yeah.
Although I will say that I went up one of those rock climbing things once, right? And at the top, it sort of curves backwards. And even though you've got that self-repelling line, all you have to do
those don't bug me.
All you got to do is let go. The first time I did it, I was just like, well, I want to let go, but for some reason my arms won't let go. And I don't know why.
Now, see,
it's because I'm 50 feet off the ground. That's why.
I've done those before. Don't bug me. It's precipices. It's being right on the edge of something and being able to look down. No bueno.
Get those sweaty palms.
No good at it. Oh, it's so bad.
Mm.
And like the way Cheeto is, it feels very familiar. Where you're just like, nope, sir, please, not this.
Oh,
it's very bad. Those first half of the show where they really play up her fear of heights.
Which is funny because in the beer episode, those two are like dancing right next to that precipice. I was like,
I felt
you guys are
so bad.
Fall off.
And when they show that hole there too, I was like, no, no, sir, please stop. We're gonna have to put a trigger warning on this episode. Trigger heights
in your podcast episode.
In your podcast, if you're afraid of heights, don't listen to this podcast. But no, it's that dancing thing had me on pins and needles. It's like, are they gonna fall? They're drunk. They're gonna fall off.
Oh man,
it's very upsetting. Because again, like it's not like a fear. It's not like you're like scared of heights. You just get like this weird vertigo when you look over a precipice, and it's just very like I want to be anywhere but here, and preferably holding on to something solid.
Should we talk about the fact that the city has a fire suppression system? Because that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Whoever built this thing really thought ahead.
Yeah.
And the layers are so high above each other in some of the later layers that there's actually a blue haze obscuring it.
I wasn't sure if that was a blue haze or they like camouflage the tiles to look like sky.
That is also fair. I think either is a fair reading. Whichever one makes you feel more, I don't know.
As long as you doesn't explode the whole thing, then It's fine.
Yeah, please try not to. I'm surprised they didn't hit a pillar and knock a whole section of the city down.
I'm sure that's happened in the past.
Of course, to be fair, now that I think about it, that happens after they meet Ishii and Kanazawa, and then they meet the Mushroom People, and the Mushroom People now say that they are the last two human beings. Ooh. So even if there were other ones...
Oh, that's terrible.
That's a little grim. Let's not go down that one. Let's not walk down that path.
Oh, dear. Oh,
good job, you.
One nice little thing I noticed was when, I don't remember exactly what idea she had, but while they're in that robot, Yu has an idea. And instead of getting a light bulb in front of her head or on top of her
she
head,
gets the little lantern.
She gets the lantern instead, the one they've been using.
Which is really good.
It's only on the screen for 2 frames. I'm like, I like it.
All the little chalk thoughts that they have are really good. They're very cute.
Nice. So let's ask.
When they discuss how fast they're going as they're driving on their Kettenkrad on the train while the planet's going around.
Well, let's not worry about that because they're probably going faster than they are. Or something. I don't even remember. That was hard to follow. Let's ask the burning question I think everyone should have if they watch this show.
Yeah.
How'd that sub get there?
Okay, so I was trying to think of that. And I think what I came up with was... Now, it's a little high for this theory to truck too much water. But at first I was like, oh, it's a museum piece. But then they had the nukes on it. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, I think what it was a group that it may have... Well, I don't know. It could have been in dry dock or something, but I think they were using it just as a weapons platform because it still had all of the capability of launching nuclear devices. And it seems like the computer system, since it could interface with the camera, was retrofitted into it.
Maybe?
So I think it's a legacy piece that's been around for a while that's been used as a weapons platform.
It's so high up,
you could also... I know. There's also maybe some readings where you could have where it's like nukes were outlawed for a long, long time internationally and people forgot how to use them. So some group or another, again, retrofitted this to be just a weapons platform. But yeah, it is really high up there. But they do have the giant robots that it's just been brought up and up and up over generations.
I mean, that's plausible. One thought I had was if you are correct and the earlier videos actually took place not too far from our own time, then there's been 1,000+ years between now and when this story takes place. Yeah. There could have been times in that 1,000 years where the ocean level rose to such an extent that a bunch of the underlayers were actually covered with water. So maybe the sub got up there that way or something. Yeah,
or a tsunami or something. But I think it's... However they got it there... It was definitely not used as a sub in a long, long time. It has been used as a weapons platform.
Yep.
Because, I mean, it's got everything it needs to launch nukes, which is what a society just needs sometimes.
It is a little weird.
It's pre-built, self-sustained, but it's a little odd that they chose it to be a sub up that high.
It's not only that, but it's a little weird that my camera here just automatically syncs with the nuclear submarine.
I don't think it was auto. I think the cat
did it. Clever cat.
Yeah, no, New made it happen. However, he can do it.
Weird cat. Never trust a weird cat.
I mean, that's words to live by if ever there were some.
So, I mean, other than the obvious one of war sucks, were there any themes that really jumped out at you from the show?
Again, just the hell of our own making theme that it drives home very subtly by just having everything be man-made, everything be pretty crummy.
I thought of one reading. It is a bit abstract. It may not be the point of it. But it seemed like an analog of just life in general.
It kind of is, yeah. No, I think that's definitely one that they're definitely doing. Because they wrestle with why bother being alive and all this.
Well,
and this, that,
not just that. I mean, as a show. Because the two characters in the first episode come out of this dark thing into the light. So maybe they're being born. And they're born into a world that they didn't choose, surrounded by infrastructure and processes they can't decipher. They have no idea what's going on. They meet only a few people during their journey that actually bring meaning to their lives. But other than that, even with all this stuff around them, they're just alone with themselves. Mm-hmm. And then the ending is mysterious, but yet fixed because we know everything ends up dead in the end. So
yeah, and it's just going higher and higher and higher, but there's a stop. Yeah, no, I think that is those are definitely themes that are there intentionally. I would definitely.
So if that is the case, then not only do we have the characters discussing those themes, but it's like embodying the theme as a whole show.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I would agree with
so
that.
Like the city,
that seems a very solid
layers on layers on layers.
Yeah, no, it's a very deep show, and
for what it is, yeah.
That's easily digestible too, which is good.
Yeah, you don't have to think about it too hard,
and it never like preaches at you any of this. This is all there for you to find if you want to go that route.
No, usually either Chi will just ask some weird question and you will just be asleep or hit her on the head. Or you will say something that seems pretty deep and Chito will tell her to shut up because that's a dumb question. So they'll bring stuff up, but they won't like explore it philosophically. It's left for you to figure it out.
Well, and fairly too, because it's like these are two kids that have like no real history or cultural history enough to start processing these thoughts. So
yeah, one can barely read, and the other one eats things. Almost ate the cat,
and the cat almost ate her.
It did eat her. Just spat her back out.
Just spat her out. Yeah. She wasn't a robot.
So that's Girls Last Tour.
Very good. Highly recommend.
Good show. It's probably one of the best slice of life shows I've ever seen.
I would say if you like Made in Abyss and you found it too grim, or you've heard about Made in Abyss and heard that it's too grim, watch this one instead.
Yes.
As it has a lot of those same feelings with a lot less young kids getting their arms almost chopped off.
Don't worry about it. Sometimes you get your arm bitten off or poisoned off or whatever. Or have kids melt. It's fine. All right, so next time we have decided that we are going to not watch Wotakoi again, but watch Wotakoi. Wotakoi. Which is Love is Hard for an Otaku, which is about
it's true.
Adults who are otaku who fall in love with each other and do otaku things. So essentially, it's about, hopefully,
our lives
and our audience's lives. So I hope it's your guys' lives. Don't be simple. Don't be sad.
Constantly.
Anyway, so we will see you then.
Yeah, bye forever.